and we will make sure that we find the right fit for you, regardless of who you are or where you want to go in the US, Canada, the UK, or even in India. Hi everyone, my name is Yash, and today we have with us Dia Bansal, a student from Jeffrey Periwal International School who has successfully made her way into Stanford for this year's Fall 2024 incoming batch. Hi Dia, congratulations. How are you today?
Hi, thank you so much. I'm good. Thank you for having me here.
Of course, of course. So, today we're going to talk about, Dia, how you've been preparing all throughout, what you're feeling like about Stanford, how life is like, and any advice that you might have for our viewers today. Sounds good. So, can we get started?
Yes, absolutely.
Of course. So, why don't you start by telling us what your year is, what your major is, what you're interested in, things like that.
Okay, so as you said, I'm a senior at the Jaishi Parival International School in Jaipur. I'm going to be a freshman at Stanford this fall. I'll be majoring at the design school, which is basically an integration between product design thinking, and mechanical engineering. My general interests are physics. Like academically, I'm really interested in physics, really interested in fields of design. I feel like integrating the both of them is something I'm really looking forward to. As for other interests, I really like public speaking. I'm really environmentally conscious. I like doing things that help the environment. Um, I like painting. Yeah, that's about it.
That's really good to know, dear. And are you doing the IB program right now?
Yeah, I'm an IB student, yes.
So you have exams coming up. How's that been?
I mean, it's going. We still have to finish up some of our assignments as well. But
No,
yeah,
I'm sure, I'm sure. But are you feeling anxious? Are you ready for it?
I mean, of course, a little nervousness always, carries along, but I think I'm holding up.
Of course, of course. You'll do well, I'm sure. So what does your current course load look like? What classes are you taking? What are your involvements in high school? Walk us through that.
Yes, so okay, for people who don't know, the IB is a 2-year program and we're supposed to take 6 subjects, so three higher level subjects and three standard level subjects. So on the higher level, I have physics HL, math AAHL, and visual arts HL. And as for standard level, I have English, Lit and Lang SL, Spanish, Ab initio SL, and global politics SL.
Okay, okay. That's really cool to know. So I'm interested. I'm sure people want to know what made you apply to the US. So why apply to the US in the first place? Why not India? Why not the UK? What was that decision-making process like?
Okay, so I think one of the major reasons I applied to the US was because of flexibility. Of course, I think the environment that I've been brought up in, US was kind of the more mainstream country that people looked at as a potential option. The other countries were like you viewed as subordinates to US. Like you can apply as a supplement. If you're applying to US, you can apply to other countries as well. But I think that was one of there was just a general consensus that US is the place to go if you're going for higher education, especially in a field like design. One of the reasons I applied specifically was because of the flexibility I knew it would give me. And I know a lot of people talk about this, but in my sense, I think it's really specific because I'm genuinely interested in a lot of different things. And I don't think I want to let go of any of those, right? So, as I said before as well, I'm interested in physics, I'm interested in math, I'm interested in tech, to an extent, I'm interested in design, a lot of different media of design, a lot of different fields. I'm interested in editing, media. So all of those together, I feel like US would be the place that would help me explore all of them. Also, more of my decision was based on like college wise rather than like country wise. I feel like choosing Stanford specifically was a bigger choice for me than choosing like to go to the US to study in a school that wouldn't offer me the same things. There was something really specific that Stanford offered me that I was drawn to. And obviously, if I had not gotten an ED, I would have applied to other colleges, RD. But all of those colleges had a common binding factor that really, draw me towards that. So that was a really big factor in my decision making as well.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And so, I mean, I guess that segues into my next question then. Why Stanford?
Why Stanford? Okay, so the specific thing that I was talking about in the previous question was that it, I mean, okay, it is a primarily tech school, and I think that's something I'm really open to exploring. One thing that I really like about Stanford is its tech culture and startup culture. I feel like startup, like the entrepreneurial thing that they have going on for them, really sits well with me because I'm someone who really likes to do my own thing. I don't really like to follow in on what others are doing or things like that. And my field is very niche, if you would say. And in those kinds of fields, I think Stanford really excels in finding avenues that aren't explored yet. And that was one of the major reasons I chose that.
That's really nice to know. And I think it's really important to be sure of that
Mm.
fit when you apply to university, right? Because you're spending the next 4 years of your life there. And I think that's one of the reasons why having a college counselor is so important. And that's something that we help for all the viewers here. That's something that we can help you do here at UniVisory, where you have a counselor and we will make sure that we find the right fit for you, regardless of who you are or where you want to go in the US, Canada, the UK, or even in India. Right. So, Dia, uh, tell me about the sort of stories that led you to Stanford, right? For the essays, the personal essay, the supplements, what are the kind of stories you had? So, I guess in a nutshell, who is Dia Bansal and how did you portray that in your application?
Okay, so I think broadly speaking, I'm generally someone who thrives on exploration and expression, and I'm constantly seeking new experiences and avenues to better myself, to grow. And as I said before as well, I've always considered myself a very multidimensional person with, interests all across the board. And I'm willing to explore all of those together. I'm willing to explore their intersection as well. And I'm just curious to learn about new things all the time. So I like debating, I like art, I like speaking, and there are a lot of things that I genuinely enjoy, and I wouldn't want to let go of any of those because they really make up who I am. As for like Stanford stories, essays specifically, I think these were the two like major ones that I had going for me in my application, which really showed like truly who I was. The first one was about adopting the growth mindset. So of course, like I said, that I love growing, I love bettering myself as a person. And the growth mindset really shifted. It really like changed my life in, ways that went beyond just like academics or like at personal like gains at a personal level. I think at first I used to get really frustrated whenever I faced like challenges, whenever there were obstacles. And I think that's normal, but I would just think like, okay, I'm not cut out for this, or I'll never be able to do it. But then I really stumbled upon this concept of the growth mindset, and it shifted my perspective completely. And that's when I started taking in more feedback and really try to improve myself, right? So I also engaged in activities that would constantly spark growth. And one of the major activities I did was debate. And the reason I love debate was because every time I gave a speech, it was never perfect. Speak like most speeches will never be perfect. There's always something that you can improve upon, and that's something I really enjoyed while debating. And I think even after that, I'm open to more risks. I'm open to stepping out of my comfort zone because I know that even if I fail, obviously it's really cliche, but it is just a part of the learning process. Um, yeah, and the other thing that I felt really completed who I was balance. So obviously, as a person who has so many different things going on for them, I think balance is the key to really maintaining all of those to the level you want to maintain them. Um, like finding balance in life has been such a journey. I used to get caught up like chasing my goals and like pursuing passions, getting so involved with one thing that I would forget, that other activities did exist. And one of the major things that affected was my relationships. And I spoke about this really, um, like, really, like in a real way in my application that, okay, my relationships were affected with my family, with my friends, because I was so engrossed in what I was doing that I sort of let go of that. And my journey with balance was kind of allocating time to both of these things separately that I genuinely care about. I realized the value of people, I realized the value of having meaningful connections. And I think I'm still working on that. I'm still working on trying to find meaning in people rather than, like find a balance between both these things. So, yeah.
I could not agree more, and I think that's really lovely. And so for anyone who has been applying to colleges, we know that Stanford's letter to your roommate essay is particularly infamous. What did you write about? What was your letter to your roommate?
Okay, so I think going in from, okay, the value of people, I think one of the reasons people are so valuable is because we're all different. And my roommate essay essentially revolved around the ways in which we're different. I actually used this one very specific quote from, it originated in Thailand, but it was same, but different. And all of the things I said in my roommate essay was about how, okay, was essentially you're different from me. This is who I am, and I'm really excited to learn about the ways you are different from me.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So, okay,
Right.
we've heard your stories, we've heard your narrative, where you come from, what your values are. I want to know, and I'm sure the viewers here also want to know, what what was your process? So how did you go about discovering this? How did you go about writing this, putting it on paper? Because it's one thing to have these values, and it's another to have go through that whole process. What was that like for you?
Yes. I think for me, it wasn't particularly difficult crafting a story because I don't think I really crafted a story. I think it was my story. I just put it down. I didn't have to specifically put all the pieces together. I just had done all of these things that accumulated over the years to just form a narrative, which I didn't mean it to, like, I didn't do those things to form a narrative. It just happened because I was genuinely interested in those. Um, but I think one of the things that really helped me were my college counselors in school. I'm genuinely really grateful for them. But I think obviously it's important to stay true to yourself, but taking in the advice of your counselors, which is also open mindedness, growth mindset, but really taking their feedback helped me a lot. I think they have a lot more experience in presenting applications, in presenting the in like presenting the things that you've done in the best way possible. So taking their feedback really helped me, but also staying very true to who I was and genuinely portraying what I believed in, genuinely portraying the things that I did and my love for the things that I did. I would never do something I didn't genuinely enjoy, and I think that really stood out in my application.
That's nice. That's nice. And for anyone wondering, if you think you don't have a story in you, if you think you don't have a narrative, you do, and we're here to help you find it. So, if you're struggling at all, please feel free to reach out to UniVisory. We are more than happy to help you find your story. So, Dia, now that we've gone through your story, who you are, how you did it, what are the activities that you feel like really made an impact? So, can you walk us through the things that you mentioned in your application, a few of those statistics, what you did throughout high school, outside high school? What was that like for you?
Okay, so I like to think of my extracurricular section as two things. First, activities that really impacted me, and second, activities that really impacted my community. So, as for activities that really, and I think while curating my activity list as well, I did keep these two things in mind. So, as for activities that impacted me, there would be things like art, there would be things like debate, because these are things that have directly shaped my personality, right? So, one of the top activities I did was debate. And there are a bunch of reasons why I really love debate, and I did touch upon that before. But generally speaking, it did really impact the person I was. It did really boost my confidence. The reason I'm able to speak in front of a camera like this right now is because I did debate for like 5 years. But that was one of the major activities I did. As for art, um, I did art volunteering, I did art exhibitions, things like that. But one of the main things that showed my interest in art was my supplement. So I submitted an art portfolio to Stanford, and that's what they saw as well as for my interest in art. Things that really impacted my community, and this is something I'm really close to. This is something that I think values like has more value than general interests. And two of the major things that I really did, which I'm very close to, first one was something called Project Ghar. So broadly speaking, we made blankets out of recycled cloth and plastic because homelessness in Rajasthan is genuinely a huge problem, and so is wastage of things like cloth and plastic. So we tried to solve both of these problems together by crafting blankets out of recycled materials and distributing it to the homeless in Rajasthan. And the number of blankets we distributed, I think, isn't of as much importance as the thought that went behind, okay, we're going to do this, or just the idea behind this can be done through this mechanism. So that was one of the things I did. Second community project that I did was decarbonize. Um, so I said before that I'm really connected. I really care about the environment. I'm a very conscious person when it comes to being sustainable. And so decarbonize was essentially we recognize the reliance on traditional cooking methods in rural areas and the amount of pollution that produced. And actually, when we realized this when we had actually gone for another sustainability competition to a village and we couldn't breathe in certain areas properly because there was so much smoke, there was so much coal burning that this was another problem that we just saw there and decided that we need to do something about it. So what we did was we made solar cookers, and I would say this is genuinely ninth grade physics if you look at it in that way. But we just made solar cookers out of recycled cardboard, out of like recycled black tape, out of all of these materials, and distributed some of those. And we actually before distributing it to the rural women, uh, we actually taught one of the Baijis in our school how to use it, and then really, try to educate her on the reasons why she should use this rather than the traditional methods, which is obviously it would cook faster, it would cook a little better, but this is a more sustainable alternative. And obviously, we will work on hopefully after the exams get over, making the model better. But for now, this is what we did, and we did distribute some models of those to rural women as well, and taught them how to use it essentially, and try to really conduct sessions on why sustainable cooking is so important.
That's nice.
Yes.
I I feel like in some ways you already are a design thinker. So it's yeah. I mean you're going to do well. You're going to do very well there. Okay. So now that we have the whole story, tell us about the numbers. What was your SAT score like? What was your GPA like? What were your grades throughout high school? And anything else that you think is important.
Okay. I think my grades were pretty decent. I wouldn't say they were perfect by any means, of course. Um, for context, I had IGCSE in 9th and 10, and then I had IB, and obviously I'm doing IB right now in 11th and 12th. All through IB, I had pretty decent scores. I would say like above average scores. So with IGCSE, I had a couple of A stars. It wasn't all that much, I feel. But yeah, I did work really hard for them. I think grades are an important aspect of college applications. They always will be. They really show the core of college, which is academics. It really shows how prepared you are to do well at that school. As for my SAT score, so I think I got it out of the way pretty quickly. I think in the beginning of 11th, I gave my SAT twice. I was done with it then. We had the I did the physicals at that time, and I was really lucky that I finished one test before the online one was about to start. So I didn't have to prepare for the digital SAT. But yeah, I think I got a decent score. Obviously was not perfect, but it was okay. It was above average, yes.
Okay, do you mind dropping the score?
It was a 1500 plus, I'll say that.
Okay, okay. I'll take that. I'll take that. Well, that's really nice to know. And I think it's important to note that grades are important, but they aren't the only part of the application. And so, to anyone here wondering, is a single B in ninth grade going to ruin my chances? Is an 85 in a subject going to ruin my chances? It's not. What matters is that you contextualize it and you outshine in other areas, and that's what we're here to help you do at UniVisory. So, Dia, let's wrap up. Is there any advice that you have for people who are in ninth grade, 10th grade, maybe even 12th grade, and they want to know how they can improve their chances? Do you have any advice for our viewers?
Yes, yes. I think I see a lot of juniors just scrambling to do activities and just waiting just waiting for college app season to start so they can just put it all on the application. But these are two things that I genuinely believe in. Please, please, please do these two things. First of all, really value your time and pick wisely the things you want to be part of. And I know in ninth and 10th grade, it can be really easy and it can be really overwhelming to just join 4 or 5 clubs because the barrier of entry of those clubs is obviously lower. It does not matter how many clubs you're part of. And I know you've probably heard this a lot of times if you're someone who's really looking at college application seriously. But please value your time. Do not do a football club and then an art club and then a dance club and a guitar club together. Please narrow down the things you're interested in, but essentially find an opportunity. And the way you can do this is to find an opportunity cost for your time. And this is what I did. So if you choose certain things, you have to remember that you're letting go of other things to do those things, right? And I think really love the things that you choose to do so much that you don't like it's worth it, the things that you're letting go of. And I know this can be difficult at times. I personally got a lot because I chose to not do certain things. But I think I'm really glad that I did not because it really, like, the things I did really added value to me, really added value to people around me.
Yeah,
And I'm really glad I used my time in that way. Second advice that I would have is when you choose to do certain activities, become so good at them that you have something to show for it. So, for example, if you're really passionate about something, you can talk to me about 1 hour about how passionate you are. But from the point of view of colleges, if you don't show me how passionate you are about it by doing something better, by taking it a step further that other people do not, I'm not going to understand really how interested you are in it, right? So if you're really passionate about something, make sure you're making it big, whether it's in terms of your own projects, competitions, whatever it is that you want to do. Just don't be stuck to the grassroots levels of several different activities, especially when you're in the latter part of high school. I understand that in ninth and 10th grade, 8th grade, even you might want to explore different things, but especially when you come down to the part where college apps are nearing, just narrow down on certain activities and really make them big.
that's
Yes.
lovely advice. That is, and I feel personally attacked as someone who is doing a cappella and uh, so many different things on campus. I feel personally attacked, but we're not gonna talk about that. Anyways, dear, thank you so much for sharing your words with us, and I wish you the best of luck at Stanford, and we are more than happy to welcome you here to the US. So, thank you so much, and it's been wonderful chatting with you. And thank you for everyone for joining us. And yeah, I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me here. I genuinely enjoy talking to you.
Me
Thank you.
too. Me too. Have a wonderful one.